everybody? Welcome back to Between the Lines podcast with Chris and Aiden. It is time. Chris and I are recording the morning of Super Bowl Sunday. We had a couple, I missed some times, Chris missed some times, a couple unfortunate events, so we had to do it last second. But we're coming on here to talk for a little bit about what needs to happen for each team to win, who we think will win, some factors that'll go into it. I'm very excited, Chris. I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people were very disappointed with this matchup. But even you talked about it. Chris predicted this matchup, by the way, before we started making our brackets. Chris said the Eagles would come out of the NFC, and he has no other option but to pick the Chiefs, obviously, because he gave him no other. They didn't show him a reason to pick against them. So Chris manifested that. I mean, he was very smart with that. I'll let him talk in a second. I just wanted to say, I think Chris was absolutely correct. I mean, out of all the teams that come out of the NFC, if you were to pick one to at least fight against Kansas City, it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they have the most well-rounded entirety of well-rounded roster, right? I mean, that defense is absolutely loaded. A lot of threats on all levels. You got Saquon Barkley. You have reliable receivers at least, and you probably have the best offensive line in the league. So there's a lot to break down here, because you look at it on quote unquote on paper, it's like, oh, the Eagles have a much better roster. So, Chris, what do you think of the whole thing?
This is what we play for, and this is what we watch for as fans. This is magnum opus, the
Yeah,
final showdown, whatever you want to call it. This is it. It's crazy that uh, the run to this starts in March, so it's almost like a year goes by before we get to this point. Always fun wrapping up another NFL season with what should be a great matchup, and I agree with you. This is going to be a really good matchup. These two played a really good game 2 years ago. Chiefs snuck by 3 points. I believe it was 38-35.
yep,
Jalen Hurts had 4 touchdowns. It was a really good back and forth all around game. Um, but yeah, I like your point about the Eagles roster. Like if you go position by position and you're just picking them one by one, you probably pick the Eagles for everything except quarterback, kicker, and obviously coach. And those three in a Super Bowl are probably the most important. So
yeah.
that's like the equalizer for the Chiefs. Like if you look at offensive line, Eagles, receivers, Eagles, defensive line, Eagles, secondary, Eagles, running back, Eagles, tight end maybe a push, but got up to
D-line
low.
Eagles.
Yeah, it's just if you go down position by position, and then you make it to quarterback, it's Chiefs, coach, it's Chiefs, and kicker, it's Chiefs because Elliott's been shaky. I mean, he's been missing
Yeah,
extra points all playoffs. So in a game like this, it could very well come down to something like that. I think we're in for a great game. I think this, you know, I think this team is better than the two 49ers teams that
I agree.
Mahomes went against. Probably better than the first Eagles team, and if not for Tom Brady, it's probably better than that Buccaneers team. Although that Buccaneers team was loaded everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this is going to be a real challenge for the Chiefs. I'm really interested to see how this goes.
let's go back on this defense real quick, Chris, because here's the matchup for me. All right. We did talk about them a little bit last week. When we talked about awards, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two rookie corners playing in the biggest stage of their life. This is the deciding factor, in my opinion. Okay, because you got on the other side, you got a mastermind in Andy Reid, like you said, who knows how to break down a defense regardless of how good they are. And you got a lot of veteran wide receivers and pass catchers for Mahomes here. So you got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean going up against, let's just say, Kelsey is obviously probably going to play against safety and tight end, safety and linebackers. But let's just say Kelsey. We've got Hollywood Brown, who's a well-rounded receiver. D Hop, but he hasn't really been involved that much. I understand that. And Xavier Worthy is obviously the rookie that they're going to go against. In terms of experience, I'm looking over at the pass catchers of Kansas City and the kind of offense they could run. I'm gonna take Kansas City as pass catchers, if that makes sense. I think that I like we just talked about, Chris. The Eagles pass rush to me is so scary, and we've seen Kansas City play so many different kinds of ball, not just this year, but over Mahomes' entire career. It's gonna be fast paced, ball out quick, get into Xavier Worthy's hands, get into Hollywood Brown's hands, get into Kelsey's hands. as quick as possible, 3 yard, 5 yard dumps, and let them run because there's no way this is gonna. If Mahomes holds on to the ball too long, this will be just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Chiefs Super Bowl, in my opinion. As good the Chiefs have a decent line. I'm not saying they're bad, but like Jawan Taylor leading the league with flags. People are always talking about how like they always miss flags, whatever. That's gonna be a whole other thing if that happens again. But you know, any you can name any guy on that pass rush for Eagles. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, even Brandon Graham for all I care about. Coming out, it doesn't matter. The guys that will match up against Jawan Taylor might be the factor here. So expect Mahomes to be quick off the ball, be very fast paced, catch his defense off guard, and attack the young corners with these veteran receivers. Throw it to D Hop, give him some options. I know Juju Smith-Schuster's not some talented guy, but he's a veteran guy. These guys have experience. These guys know what they're doing. So these guys haven't been there before. You got to put pressure on these rookies and see if they break or not. So that's the deciding factor for me, Chris. I don't know about you, but I think that the Chiefs are gonna really. I understand that they have Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, and that's gonna be a factor as well. But it's gonna be tough to run against those that front seven basically. So the deciding factor to me is basically both passing offenses. But we'll break down Jalen Hurts in a little bit. But Mahomes has to get the ball out quick. He sees the field better than anybody. He just can't play extreme hero ball, which he doesn't. We don't. I know we talked about like Josh Allen and Lamar playing a lot of hero ball sometimes, but Mahomes gets the ball out quickly, puts a secondary on their toes, and maybe they step back a bit, and then you can open up the run game. But that's what I see this offense doing. There's no other way around it to me. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you hold on to the ball more than 3 seconds, 4 seconds, that pass rush is getting to you, Chris.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to be a problem as much as it was that one Super Bowl. That Chiefs offensive line was really, really bad. This one is a
Good
lot better. They've
point.
made serious investments all in the offensive line. Creed Humphrey, Joe Tooney, Trey Smith. That's a lot better than that offensive line in that Super Bowl going against the Buccaneers. And yeah, to your point, I mean that's the Chiefs' game. They don't. This isn't like an air raid downfield offense. This is a
Yeah.
scheme of guys open and like death by a thousand paper cuts when you're playing the Chiefs. Sometimes they can strike over the middle for 25, but they'll take their 6, 7 yard gains and just keep ahead of the sticks. Like how often are the Chiefs in negative down and distance where it's like 2nd and 18? It
Yeah.
just doesn't really happen because they do such a good job of credit to Matt Nagy, Andy Reid of scheming their guys open. How many times do you see Worthy coming open across the middle, Kelsey finding the soft spot in the middle of the field? Even Juju Smith-Schuster had a big catch and run last week to get them down to the red zone. Like they spread the ball around better than
Yeah.
anyone. He doesn't lock on to targets. I think that can
Right.
be a problem for some other. We saw it in Buffalo with Stephon Diggs last year. Mahomes has never really locked on. Even when Tyreek Hill was there, I always thought they did a good
Yeah.
job spreading it around and
Turning it
taking
around.
advantage when Tyreek was open. Um, I like your point about exploiting the rookie defensive backs. You have to test them. Obviously, if there's an opportunity, the Chiefs are going to recognize it. We saw it last week
Yeah.
with, or I guess 2 weeks ago with Kyer Elam when he had to come into the game, and they just went
Yep.
after him over and over and over.
Yep.
If you're the Eagles, you have to pick who you want to neutralize and hope that someone else doesn't burn you. I mean, with the game on the line 2 weeks ago, and they need a first down, they threw a flat route to Samaje Perine, and he picked it up. Like they just have so many ways to
Yep.
beat you. Samaje Perine wasn't even in the game other than that play, really, and he still got the big first down. So, you know, you look at the talent, and you're like, no, I don't think you're blown away by who the Chiefs have at their skill positions. But, it's Mahomes and it's Andy Reid. They know how to. I don't know. They just always seem to find a way. The one thing though that I think is important, I think the last three Super Bowls that they won, not counting the Tampa Bay one, the Chiefs were down 10 points at halftime. And I know for a fact
Yep.
against the 49ers, both times they were down 10 points in the fourth quarter. I don't think that's, the kind of game you want to play today. I mean, obviously they've been really good at better than anyone in these close games and come from behind, but I think the difference is that if the Eagles get a lead, you know who's getting the ball, and it's 26, and
Saquon.
they're just going to
Yeah.
run with him over and over. Whereas, like, the 49ers had McCaffrey, but, the first time they didn't, and then the Eagles, the first time, they didn't really have that running back. It was like Kenny Gainwell, Miles Sanders. So they don't have that running back to kind of put the game away when you need a first down or a couple first downs. I mean, we see the Eagles try to end games by picking up a first down, and Saquon houses it. So I don't think you want to play that game if you're the Chiefs. I think you gotta be as efficient as possible early in the game and make it so that Jalen Hurts has to beat you, not Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Barkley's. It's plain as simple as that. Barkley's the factor for me.
He's
Um.
probably the Super Bowl MVP if they win today, because if they win, it's going to come on his
Chris,
back.
100%, Chris. I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more. I think what he's gone for, like, what, 450 scrimmage yards in the playoffs or something like that. Like,
yeah, he's unstoppable.
the dude is unstoppable, and you got to give so much credit to that offensive line. Okay, I mean, they could give him the slightest hole and he's hitting it. It doesn't matter, right? They just got to give him one block and he's gone. And yeah, like, let's talk about the, like you just mentioned, Chris, with the Chiefs roster. Like, okay, Chris Jones, but he's gonna get locked up by Jurgens and Mailata and maybe Becton he could beat. But, like, if these guys double him, they know they have to double him. Name me the next guy up. It's George Karlaftis. He's not bad. Nick Bolton, not bad. But, like, it's just like you said, Chris, comparing the two rosters, these guys aren't like, wow, these guys are Pro Bowlers and they're studs. But you need somebody to step up on that defense to tackle him. And I laugh while saying that because you can't. You straight up can't. So yeah, I expect him to go for. I mentioned it last podcast too. Steve Spagnuolo in the past 18 playoff games, including Super Bowl games, has not allowed a single 100-yard rusher. Has not allowed it. So, and he's done it against prime Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon. There's some valuable very talented running backs he's gone against, and he's contained. I'm not going to say shut down, but contained. Barkley's another story right now. He's probably he won Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's probably the most destructive, threatening offensive weapon in the league right now. And, you never know when he's going to take it to the house. So we saw it against the Commanders, like literally the first play from scrimmage. Yes, so I trust Spagnuolo to contain him, but containing Barkley is probably like 120 yards still. It's not even like, it's not like Barkley's getting over 100 yards. It's plain and simple. I expect the Eagles to pound the rock. We kind of mentioned this before, Chris, like when we talked about Baltimore or Buffalo going against Kansas City. Keep Mahomes on the bench. Like run the ball. Kenneth Gainwell's shown some promise too. Jalen Hurts can use his legs. Just a long consecutive drive, right? Use Barkley. If he explodes, man. That's great. And you put 7 points on the board, and you're already up on the Chiefs. You can just keep running the ball. But that's the key here: is can Spagnuolo stop the run, and can Philly keep feeding Barkley? That's another key question. Because Spagnuolo's, I think, one of the most underrated coordinators in the league right now. I think every time, Chris, we see the Chiefs in the playoffs, the defense steps up in some kind of big way. We saw it against Buffalo. Chris pointed it out on our last podcast. Josh Allen, last play of the game to go tie. He's got to go down the field. Spags just sends the house, right? He sends everybody after him, and it worked. Josh had a pretty good throw on that play, but he took a gamble, right? He's taking these gambles, and yeah, that's what you're going to have to do. You might have to trust Trent McDuffie one-on-one with AJ Brown, but then who's on the other side? Former Heisman winner Devontae Smith, who's a disgusting route runner. You got to leave him one-on-one too. These might be the risks you have to take in order to stop Barkley. And, then in that case, you put the pressure on Jalen Hurts to throw, which is the other key situation here. Hurts, like Chris said, he had a great game 2 years ago in the Super Bowl against Kansas City. So, yeah, I expect him to use his legs a lot more too, though. I think that's what's going to be very valuable to him if he could buy some time in the pocket or extend the play or get a couple extra yards on using his legs. Hurts is a big factor in this as well because I feel like obviously Mahomes can turn the ball over, but I feel like Hurts is the one more likely to. And as long as if I was talking to my dad about this today, I was like, if Kansas City gets up early, you're gonna have to force Jalen Hurts to throw. But like Chris mentioned, how many times have we seen it in the second half? Kansas City goes in the second half down 10 points, 15 points, whatever it is. If that's the case for the Super Bowl, this is kind of bold to say, but like Chris just said, I would kind of count the Chiefs out. And we always say never count them out, whatever. Dude, if the Eagles go up, like Chris said, they will run the hell out of the ball with Saquon Barkley. There's no point to ever throw the ball at that point. There's no point. Okay, maybe get a couple like short passes with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith or Goddard. Or Hurts and Barkley will pound the rock. That's as simple as it'll go. Because there's no way on God's given earth are they going to try and just go down and score as fast as possible and give the ball back to Mahomes. That's not what you want to do ever.
I definitely don't think that I would ever count the Chiefs out, but I understand your point in the sense that it becomes a lot harder than in years past for
Yeah,
if they are downtime points to make that comeback, especially because the way that these playoff games have gone, the Chiefs have been hitting third quarter lulls. They haven't, been finishing, and they had a chance to like almost put the Bills away in the first half to make it 21-3, and then Mahomes fumbled and they didn't score for a bit. So if they can't afford that kind of lull, which is crazy to say because you would think that Josh Allen would have been able to take advantage of that, and he wasn't really. I mean, he gave him the
yeah,
lead, but it wasn't enough. You can't stop Saquon Barkley. I mean, a bad day for him is still probably like 125 rushing yards,
yeah.
especially with that offensive line. I don't think there's any stopping him. I just think there's building so much of a lead that you have to go to Jalen Hurts. That's the only way I can see it playing out because he ran for 2,000 yards this year. He's fully healthy. It's not like he has like a nagging ankle injury. He's ready to run. It's his birthday. He's feeling good. He's got the best offensive line in football. So I genuinely don't think that they can stop him. Like I would be floored if he got under 100 yards in this game. Um, but yeah, if you're the Chiefs, you have to find a way to build some sort of a lead so that way Hurts has to beat you with his arm, which I don't really think anyone's too confident with. I was actually watching the other night. I was sitting at home. The Super Bowl Chiefs Eagles was on, and
Yeah.
I'm watching some of these throws. I'm like, where did this Jalen Hurts go? I mean, he threw this one touchdown to the left side of the end zone to AJ
The
Brown.
AJ
It was
Brown,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, where did this guy go? He's been. I guess they haven't asked him to do as much this year with Saquon and the rushing attack because Hurts himself had 14 touchdowns on the ground. But it's like if they had that Jalen Hurts, like maybe the Eagles are favored. Like I don't know.
I
It's
agree.
everything else in this game would make you think the Eagles would win, really, except for quarterback and coach. Obviously, that being the two most important positions in football. So I think it'll be a really good game. It's obviously most of these games are won and lost in the trenches. Like you're usually able to tell pretty early on what offensive and defensive line is winning the game, so to say.
Yeah.
Um, it's just Mahomes is like the great equalizer. The Chiefs or the Eagles could have time of possession, turnovers, yards, all that
Doesn't
stuff, and
matter.
still lose.
Uh-huh.
Like we've seen Mahomes go down and score with 13 seconds left.
Yeah.
I don't
This
like
is why it's so hard.
you're genuinely surprised if Mahomes is stopped in one of those situations. Like you're
Yeah.
genuinely surprised.
This is why it's so hard to pick, Chris, because it's like we how many times do people go, "Oh, I'm picking the Niners. They have a better roster than Kansas City." You know, we've heard these things before. And genuinely, I agree with you, Chris. As you said, this is probably the best overall team that Kansas City has gone against in the Super Bowl. Maybe not counting the Tom Brady Buccaneers one because that one was loaded. I agree with you. But like this one scares me. And yes, they beefed up the line, and it's been great for them. I don't know. It's so tough to pick this one for me because even as a Giants fan, like I'm not trying to be biased or whatever, not like go against Philly or whatever. I'm being totally honest with you. Philly has a real chance at winning this as long as they, I mean, obviously every game and every football game is you want to win the turnover battle, whatever. But if you make a mistake against this guy, it is over. I promise you that it is over. That's what I believe, Chris. I think you believe that too, because he will make you pay. Mahomes will make you pay. Because if you I mean, I'm not saying it will happen. Barkley Hurts fumble or Hurts throws a pick and it's in their own territory, even whatever it is. If you give them that bonus possession, the game is over. Because you give them the one up, they're gonna go score points. Mahomes knows how to do it. better than anybody. Okay, I don't think I don't I honestly Kelsey might go off today too. I don't. It's so hard. It's so hard because it's like this is like when it's not really a good example, but like I guess when the Cavs played Golden State and Golden State was just loaded, and LeBron did it himself. It is as simple as that. Golden State was like the most threatening team. I'm not saying Mahomes is going to do it himself. He has a great team around him too. It's just looking at all the pieces, the Eagles are just so much better in terms of all around. Like we won't stop saying it throughout this entire podcast. The Eagles just have probably, but like right next to the Lions, 1A, 1B, the best roster in the NFL. And it's just hard to pick against the best roster if you want to go all around stuff. Like Chris mentioned, coaching is a huge factor in this. And that's why I like the Chiefs more because of Andy Reid. Andy Reid is a Hall of Fame coach. He found his quarterback in Mahomes, and he's found a way to just win because he finds soft spots in the defense every single time. Even with Alex Smith, I'm not saying that he won a lot with Alex Smith, but there were so many great offensive performances by Kansas City when Reid got there that it was just so cool to see like all these other guys come up and running. Like a guy like Tyreek they drafted. He's a speed demon. Just send him on a go route, open the top on the defense. And even throw it to him on that play though. It would be the guy on the under, the running the dig route. It's stuff like that. That's so impressive to me. And with that being said, I'm gonna say it right now. I'm taking Kansas City to win, but it's going to be extremely close, like it was last time, Chris.
Yeah, my thoughts. I mean, the Eagles could have been favored by 10, and I'm still picking the Chiefs. That's just how I've been rolling this season. I said it over and over again as to why I'll pick them. They have the best quarterback, the best quarterback who already has 3 Super Bowl rings often will find a way to get it done in situations like this. So I think it's really easy to want to go with the Eagles. I think a lot of people want the Eagles for, a number of reasons. Obviously, being from New York, we're not too fond of the Philly fans,
Yeah.
but it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, it's just similar to when Tom Brady was in the Super Bowl. No one ever picked Tom Brady to lose, even when the Giants and the Eagles were able to beat him. I think everyone probably picked Patriots in all of those
Yeah.
Super Bowls. And you're genuinely surprised when it does, especially I think the most surprising one, I don't want to go too far off the rails, was the Eagles one with Nick Foles. Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and, and still lost that game.
Yeah. He didn't
So,
lose that game. His team lost in the
yeah,
game.
anything can happen. I've caught Bill Belichick benching Malcolm Butler for no reason. That's why they lost that
Right.
game. But anything can happen. My brain tells me that it's the Chiefs, and we hate to go down the road of the officiating, but it has played a major role, and certainly their 2 wins this season. But even when they played the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple years ago, that Bradbury hold, I think it was a hold. A lot of people don't. Even Bradbury himself said it was a hold at the end of the game.
Yeah.
They get those 50-50 calls every time, so I think it is a real factor that you have to at least acknowledge, especially in a game
Yeah.
like this where we think it's gonna be close.
I just I don't know. Like you said, Chris, like the what worries me is okay, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards and lost the Super Bowl. Mahomes could do that, and it could be the defense that crumbles. And I'm not saying that they will, because they always show up sometimes in big moments. But if they can't stop Barkley, I can't see them winning. I don't know why. I can't see Kansas City winning. I don't know how you feel about that, Chris.
Well, like I said, I don't think that there is stopping Barkley. It's situational to me,
Yeah.
based on the score and the way that the game is going. That'll determine it for me.
To me, it's like okay, Chris, ready? I'll give you a scenario. Let's say Kansas City goes up 10-0 in like the first quarter. What are you thinking at that point? Like the fit,
I mean,
like it's on Jalen Hurts, right? It's got to be on Jalen Hurts.
yeah, I mean, look, that's really early. If the Chiefs were up by like 10 halfway through the fourth quarter, I'd be really nervous if I were an Eagles fan.
Okay, yeah,
But, you know, stuff can change instantly. Like momentum is such a big deal. Even the fourth down stops that the Chiefs were able to get against the Bills. Um,
they get
or
that
yeah,
against
like that
Philly.
one. Yeah, I mean the tush push is obviously the great equalizer, but the the Bills tried their own tush push and weren't really able to get it against the Chiefs. The
Oh,
Chiefs seem to have a little bit of an understanding of how to go against it. It hasn't really been stopped by anyone, but I guess if anyone's going to do it, the Chiefs seem to have an idea of how to combat that. Obviously, the easiest solution is keep them out of that down and distance, but easier said than
yeah,
done.
it's just hard. I don't. I just. I see another big. I talked about it before, right? Is I like talking about these passing games, like Devontae Smith. Okay, I'm going Trent McDuffie. He's definitely going to stay on AJ Brown the whole time.
I don't know if he
Smith has had.
will because he's a
Don't think
small
so.
corner. He's a small
You think
corner.
he'll go
That's
against
not.
Smith?
It's just not a great matchup for him because AJ Brown is a big bodied receiver and
You
McDuffie's a
think they'll
small
double?
corner.
They double Brown and then put McDuffie
I don't
on.
really know because
I'm very interested in that.
like Spags is known to blitz a lot,
Yeah.
so I think that'll get mixed in. They run a 4-3 defense with a lot of blitzes and they bring a lot of corners off the edge, stuff like that, and safeties. So, obviously it's all situational. It depends on the score, but I don't know. I don't know if McDuffie can physically follow AJ Brown just because he's a short corner.
Good point. I was just gonna say Devontae Smith. He's had 3 career games against Kansas City. One in the Super Bowl, obviously. He's had 100 yards in all 3 of them. That's crazy to me. I think he could be a really big factor here as well. Dallas Goedert hopefully might get overlooked as well. I don't know. There's just so many like sneaky guys I'm trying to look at on both sides of the ball, and I'm like who is the deciding factor here? Because who was it? Like Damian Williams or something like that. Was it Damian Williams that won like
Yeah, he had like a couple
MVP?
touchdowns
Right?
that one
Did he win
stretch.
MVP? No,
He
Mahomes did.
he didn't, but he had a
Should have.
really good
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Something like that. Like Kareem Hunt could be that guy. Even P Ryan, like you said, Chris, he could just show up out of the blue and take it to the house or whatever. I don't know. Some random guy on one side of the ball is gonna show out this game. I know he is, and it's gonna be like, I don't know. It's just this game to me is out of the 4 teams left, the best outcome for an all-out brawl, in my opinion. I feel like if Buffalo were here, it'd be a really tough game to pick. I mean, obviously it's already tough enough, but Buffalo would have been tougher. I have to go Kansas City for pure experience. Like Chris mentioned, we talk about Tom Brady. Nobody picked the Giants both times. I guarantee you that. I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, let's just go off of experience and all out roster." It was clearly the Patriots. I was worried. I mean, I was only a kid, but especially 2012, I was like, "There's no way." Like, it's just everybody knew Tom Brady as Tom Brady. Um, so you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. But for pure experience, you have to take Mahomes. The dude's been in too many situations like this where he's, uh, oh, the other team's too good. The other defense is this. He's only got 10 seconds left. He don't care, bro. He's going to go ball. I mean, that's as simple as that. Um, I think Mahomes is due for a massive game, quite frankly. I know Pacheco's a little banged up still from that injury, just recovering, and Kareem Hunt's been a good filler for him. But I see Mahomes just slinging it all day. I don't know about you, Chris. I think that's kind of bold to say, considering how much of a running offense they've become. But this seems like a game where they're going to rely. Like I talked about it before. I said a team that doesn't need to rely on their best player is the most dangerous team. Okay, and that's the Chiefs, in my opinion. I mean, Mahomes hasn't been MVP Mahomes all year, but he hasn't had to be. They won 15 games. This is the game where it's like, yo, Pat, let's go off, bro, and he's gonna say, all right, let's do it, right? If he needs it at least, and he will do it. I promise you, he will do it. So that's why I have the Chiefs. I don't know. I think the Chiefs are favored, obviously. I think, but I feel like most of the world or the country at least is going Philly, and people just because of how they hate the Chiefs. I'm like, hey man, a lot of people hate greatness. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been going back and forth. I just don't know. I don't know how you pick against Patrick Mahomes. He's like Superman.
Yeah.
There's no situation that it seems like is too much to overcome for them. And for that reason, I will be picking the Chiefs. I believe they're minus 1.5.
Close.
That's a close line. The Chiefs probably cover. The Chiefs obviously, the Eagles would obviously have to um, lose by 1 point or win. So that's really close. I think I like the Chiefs to cover, but barely, maybe by a field goal or like
Yeah.
less than a touchdown. I
It
don't think
it will be
it's
a one-score game in my
yeah, like
eyes.
I don't think it's a two possession game at all. Um, I don't look. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, like if they win, is probably the MVP. But I could see, like you said, some unheralded players have some key contributions.
Somebody's
DeAndre
got to step
Hopkins
up.
has been really quiet and kind of phased out of the offense, but he's as short-handed as they come if you need a big catch on a
Yeah.
long third down. Xavier Worthy's really coming into his own in these playoffs. He's getting a lot more touches, a lot more comfortable in the Chiefs' offense. There's just so many ways that they can beat you. It's not like they have, a Jamar Chase where you know that he's going to get the ball,
Right.
15 times a game. It's pick your poison. Who do you want to try to take out of the game, and who's going to be left open? And Mahomes is just so good at understanding, what's coming at him. I think back to the last time these two teams played each other, and I think it was third and goal or fourth and goal. It was after Kadarius Toney had the big punt return in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter to get them down there. And I believe the Chiefs were up by 1 at that point. I think it was like 28-27, and you can see that on third and goal, the Eagles are running cover 0, and I think for us at home and, most experienced watchers, cover 0 is probably the easiest one to understand what's about to happen because you can see that they're gonna bring defense, that is, they're gonna
Everybody.
bring they're gonna bring at least one more rusher than you can block, and you see the
Yeah.
safeties kinda creeping down. I remember I was sitting next to my roommate watching it at school, and I was like, "Why are they running cover 0 on third and goal? Someone's gonna be wide open." And you see he snaps the ball, here comes the rush, and Sky Moore is open in the flat without
Yeah.
a defender within him for 10 yards, and he just waltzes in. So, it was a curious choice, but, like, if we can see it at home that it's coming, and you can believe that Patrick Mahomes knows it's coming too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, Chris, everybody's so annoyed by it, right? But I'm like, dude, the guy just sees the field better than anybody. It's as plain as simple. Like Chris said, I mean, if the defense if you're Vic Fangio and you decide to full on blitz Mahomes, he is going to recognize it. Whatever blitz you show, he will see it. He will audible or he will make a quick adjustment and make you pay. It's as quick and simple as that. Even when I play against zone, I always recognize even the play designs that Andy Reid has for zone. It's so like any soft areas in the coverage he finds. Like when Rasheed Rice is so good at that too when he's healthy. Like that. That's their wide receiver one role. That's what Kelsey was for so long as well. Obviously they transitioned to Rasheed Rice and then he got hurt. Now they kind of have Hollywood Brown fulfilling that role or Juju. Um, it's a threatening thing when you can get 5-6 yards on a pass as simple as that. Like literally take 2 seconds to do it. One game. I think that's what makes Kansas City so special is not just like we said, they don't have any shiny gadgets. They don't have anything crazy. Kelsey's like what 36 now, 35 or something like that. He's much older. Um, yeah, it's as simple as finding the soft country. It's basic football, like we've always talked about. It's the power of Andy Reid and the power of Patrick Mahomes that make the Chiefs so special because Mahomes has great leadership. I think Spagnuolo is a great coordinator. Reed is a great offensive mind. They just know how to gather guys up. But like what Chris, what was that quote you said about the Jets? It was like, oh, there's just 52 guys on a roster or something that's not a team. Like these guys know how
Yeah,
to
it's
like
just
these guys
53 individuals.
are 53, right. It's just 53 individuals. This is not what it is. It's just these guys know how to put a team together. It's as simple as that. And they don't have to pay millions of dollars to go get, like or hundreds of $1 million to go get the special gadget or toy to fulfill a position. I mean, look at like the Brady Belichick dynasty. I mean, Tom always took pay cuts to get and fulfill other positions, but it's not like they were crazy stud guys all the time, and they were Pro Bowlers every year. But the Patriots always had a solid defense, and that's what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing. I think that's how they built this dynasty that Chris always talked about, and this is what could solidify them as the best one is if this defense can go out there and contain Barkley and shut down Jalen Hurts' passing game, then yeah, they probably solidify themselves as one of the better dynasties ever.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, if they win and get that first three-peat in the NFL history, it's probably the greatest dynasty. That's three in a row, and I believe that's 4 in 5 years.
Absurd.
Just
You
an
know how absurd
absurd
that is?
and it's hard enough to win one. I mean, that's like an incomprehensible amount of winning in a league where there's not really a lot of back-to-backs. Like it's too hard. It's hard to stay healthy through the entirety of the season, all that. And it's just, the NFL teams are constantly adjusting to what you do. So you have to continuously evolve and make yourself a little more unpredictable. It's just
Yeah.
I don't think enough people are appreciating um how impressive this is, win or lose, what the Chiefs have been doing the last 3 years.
Well, what was Michael Jordan? Was he 6 rings in 7 years or something like that? 6 years and eight,
They had a
six
three.
rings and
They
eight.
had a three-peat, and then he
Yeah.
retired for like a year or two. Then they had another three-peat.
Right. So it's like
So
7 or 8 years, 6 championships. And that's
yeah,
I'm not saying it's the equivalent in football, but this is close to it, because it like Chris mentioned, the conditioning you have to do in football is a lot different than basketball. Obviously, the risk of injury is a lot higher in football. Um, it's giving me Michael Jordan vibes, is what I'm saying.
he is
It's just
Michael Jordan.
he
Like,
is,
yeah, I
yeah.
agree.
It like
I said
everybody
that to you
hit.
before.
Yeah, well, I was talking to my dad about it. I was like, nobody wants Mahomes to win this. I was like, I know for a fact nobody wanted MJ to win more, and he just kept doing it. He didn't care, and you see, Mahomes don't care either, bro. It's as simple as that. He's gonna go ball. Um, I don't know. Chris, I want to pose one question to you.
Hit me.
All right. Kansas City wins. Does Kelsey retire?
Yeah, I think he's got one foot out the door regardless. I would be
Yeah.
surprised if he came back next year anyways. I think this is probably it for him. You can see
Even
the
if they
body's
lose.
slowing. Yeah, I think the body's slowing down a little bit. He doesn't he's accomplished so much. I think this is probably it for him, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Where
What
would
do
you
you
rank
think?
him now? Where would you rank him among all tight ends?
He's not better than Gronk. He's not better than Antonio
Tony.
Gates, in my opinion. He's not.
Wow.
Yeah, no, yeah. People. I mean, Antonio Gates is nice. He's got
Yeah,
inducted
he's
into the
he's a
Hall of
dog.
Fame.
Yeah.
Um, he's probably better than Gonzalez. Um, I don't know. I mean, Tony Gonzalez had 111 touchdowns, and Travis Kelce has 80. That's a huge
Yeah.
difference. So, I would probably rank him four behind Gates, Gonzalez, and Gronk. That's probably where I'd put him.
Yeah. I put him somewhere around 3 or 4. I mean, yeah. I Antonio Gates was a sneaky pick. I forgot because he got inducted. I forgot about that.
Got the most touchdowns
Yeah.
all time by a tight
Yeah.
end,
Yeah. And
116.
and then Gronk's an absolute dog. So yeah, I give you that.
Why don't we,
I don't
wrap this up with something a little fun and talk about some of the props for the game?
go
See
for
if
it. Oh, I'm
see if we
interested in
can.
that. I got some
Yeah, like
stuff. I got some
let's.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we can each just pick a few, toss
You
out a
got
few
any,
lines.
Chris? You want me to go
I mean,
first?
yeah, no, I have it up. I
Go
haven't
for it.
even looked at any of these. Let's see, what do we got here? What about
This is so
anytime
interesting.
touchdown score? We have Saquon minus 180, Worthy plus 150, Kelsey plus 130, AJ Brown plus 180. What do you think about any of those guys to score today?
For me, anytime I like a Kareem Hunt plus 140 low key. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
it's
bold or not. I mean, I like that. I wouldn't be shocked if Mahomes ran one in either at plus
I was
295.
thinking that too.
I was
Yep.
gonna say like he's so underrated with his legs. I mean, I just think that and everybody forgets it, and then they space out for all these receivers, and he'll just take off for 5-10 yards. We saw him get 2 touchdowns. What was it? It was against Buffalo. So yeah, I don't know. It's just he could always sneak one in, but Kelsey's a little risky to me. I mean, he's just been quiet. Again, this could be like like Chris and I just mentioned, he is slowing down. I agree with Chris. I think that he retires regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl. I mean, especially if he wins it, I think he's definitely done. But maybe he has one of those games where he blows up again because we've seen it time and time again. Playoff Kelsey, like 7, 8 catches, 80 yards, and a couple touchdowns. It's crazy. I don't know. I would say my three like that I really like are one with Kareem Hunt at plus 140. I like Mahomes at plus 295. And then obviously the gimmies Barkley or Hurts, but like one of them is guaranteed to score. But I don't know why. I kind of like AJ here at plus 185 as well. I feel like they got to give him the ball more and let him feast. Because like Chris said, I mean, if you don't put McDuffie on him and you kind of double him maybe or play zone, there might be opportunities there for him. So you got to utilize that. They used them a lot in the first Super Bowl, so I wouldn't be surprised at that. So I'd say those three. I'd say Kareem Hunt plus 140, AJ Brown plus 185, and Pat Mahomes plus 295.
Yeah, I could see AJ Brown getting involved a little more. He hasn't been their focal point in their offense. Here's one that I actually kind of like. Saquon Barkley. This is FanDuel Sportsbook. 125 plus rushing yards, plus 152. I think I like that one today.
Oh yeah,
That's the
that's
first.
easy.
That's the first one where
Yeah,
it's not favored. All the other ones are like minus 100.
right.
So I think I like that. I don't know if I like plus 150. I mean, 150
Yeah.
plus. I think that's where it's starting to get a little too rich for my liking. But I like Saquon to get a buck 25 on the ground. That's really, three
Mm.
long runs for him and then a couple other intermediate ones. Um, as far as on the Kansas City side of things, I wouldn't touch any of their rushing props. They're too hard to predict. They don't really hand it off a ton, honestly, other than if you
Yeah.
want to do anytime touchdown.
I
That's the only one I would
I will
touch.
say, I will say, Mahomes 25 rushing yards is not crazy to me.
And that one I would
That's one
probably
that
dabble with.
it's not crazy to me because Um, like I said, it's only minus 160 for him. He's averaging 20 yards a game rushing. I mean, he scrambles, bro. He's done it many times in Super Bowl too. We've seen it. If he needs, he'll do anything to pick up the first down. So it's as simple as that. But Chris, I want to throw out one receiving one real quick, and if we can transition to that. I mentioned it just now with Devontae Smith. If you want to go big or go home, go 100 yards for Devontae Smith for plus 598. This is bold, I know, but he's had. It's just consistency against Kansas City. He's had 3 games against them in his career. He's got 100 yards in all 3 of them. Why not take the? That's like a long shot to me. That's like the long shot one. I mean, the stats are there. He's shown evidence of he could beat some of these guys in their secondary. So look for some. Like I don't know. These are just options to me that I would look for. I mean, how could you not go against the stats? So that's something I think it's gutsy, but I would do.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely sprinkle in some Devontae Smith yards, and their passing offense hasn't been there, but it has to today. You could get
Yeah.
Devontae. Did I say Adams? I meant Smith. Either way, you could get
Yeah.
Devontae Smith 60 plus yards at plus 128.
Also
So
true.
I
Also
don't
true.
I don't think that's a bad one if you want to play it a little safe with some of the lower odds and stack some
Even
together.
yeah. I'd say Hurts at 2 touchdowns for plus 475 isn't bad either. I mean, you get the ball at the 1 yard line 2 times. You know it's going to him. I mean, it's obvious that would work as well. These are pretty interesting ones. There's a
Yeah, I mean,
couple of the
he had 4 touchdowns
yeah
last time they played each other, so I could definitely see something
yeah
like that happening.
yeah. I mean, they're going to be desperate for points. So if it falls at the 1 yard line, you just look for the tush push every time. I mean, um,
I
I
like
don't know.
the
A lot of these.
over
Go
in
ahead.
today's game at 48.5. I like the
Oh,
over.
I agree. I agree. I agree. I actually have one bet down. I'll say it right now. I'm pulling it up. If my app loads, I made a parlay of talking about the score. I said Eagles total points will be 24 and a half over. The Chiefs to be over 28 and a half, and the Chiefs will win by 1 to 6 points, and that's plus 800. So I put that in, and I was very surprised at the kind of odds I would have because I could easily see this being a back and forth game and it coming down to a one score game and the Chiefs just winning it. So yeah, like similar to what Chris said, I'm taking the over as well with points. That'd be so easy. So
I also
I don't
had
know.
one.
I feel.
Sorry, keep going. Keep going.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I just feel like this, as nice as some of these defenses are, it's just gonna be a lot of offense in this game, similar to the last one.
I also have one fun game special that I think actually has a pretty decent chance of hitting given the odd.
Yeah,
It's
go for
this
it.
each team to score one plus touchdown or one field goal in each half. So that's plus 1,300.
Interesting.
That's one I would definitely
So
sprinkle on
wait,
if I was a betting man.
really,
Yeah.
really? So that means Kansas City and Philly each have to score 10 points minimum in each half.
Yeah, one touchdown and one field goal for each of them, each half.
Interesting.
I could see it.
Yeah, that's wow. Actually, that is pretty good. I don't know, man.
I mean, there's some
It's
fun ones
tough.
for
I
these
don't.
game specials. How about
Yeah, I like the game
Jalen Hurts
specials.
and Saquon Barkley to each record 5 rushing yards in each quarter, plus 700? That's a fun
That's not
one.
bad. Yeah,
Not bad, but
yeah, that's not bad either. All
m-
right, here's a good one. Who you got for MVP of Super Bowl?
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, he's at
It's a
plus 120.
yeah, it's a boring pick, but if they win, it's going to be because of him. And even if it's not, they usually
Yeah.
give it to the quarterback. So,
No, yeah, it's fair.
what
How
about
is
you?
Kelsey at plus 1,500? Yeah, I mean, if the Chiefs win, which they probably will, it's gonna be Mahomes. Just plain as simple as that. I mean, it's such a gimme. I mean, the guy's gonna step up in the biggest moment. I mean, like we just mentioned, there have been guys that stepped up for Kansas City in the past, but Mahomes still gets the award. So I mean, you want to put, I mean, $10 wins you 22. I mean, that's not bad. Free money, honestly. If Kansas City wins, at least there's a lot of defensive guys up here for Philly though, which is pretty interesting. And Jalen Carter's at plus 7. I mean, these aren't really high. These aren't really low odds or whatever, but Jalen Carter plus 7,000's up there with some of these guys. Chris Jones for Kansas City. I don't know. This is interesting. I just, I don't know. There's also like you can bet on the position of the MVP. I'm like, dude, it's a quarterback. Like, what
You
else is
can
it gonna
you can
be?
bet on just about anything. You could bet on the coin toss, the national anthem, the Gatorade
Yeah,
color.
that's weird,
What color Gatorade are we getting this year from the winning team?
dude. Here's the theories I've heard though
Let me
about
hear
this.
it.
I don't before I talk about this, I don't bet on that. Okay,
Yeah,
the
I don't
things
either.
I put a little bit of money on are only Super Bowl. I always not Super Bowl. I just talk about football stats because it's the only thing I actually know. I don't bet on any other sport. I don't bet on anything else. I don't care about that stuff. Um, because I like to use numbers and stats with this stuff, so it's pretty interesting to me. However, all my social media today was if you have the Eagles winning, parlay it with the Gatorade color because it's gonna be yellow. I've seen all these videos. It's every time Sirianni's gotten dunked, it's been yellow Gatorade. So if you think the Eagles will win, do yellow Gatorade, and they parlay it with Eagles money line for like more money or something like that. Now, the same thing happened with Kansas City. And I hear people saying it's purple, which I believe it will be if it's Kansas City. It would definitely be purple, in my opinion.
And I mean, it's always a funny one to just think about. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, Chris, what do you think? Chris, do you ever see that? It's like I always see these like giant like theories on like TikTok where it's like if you look back at this Super Bowl at this time, they poured the powder in on this Gatorade at this certain time, and if that happens this time, it'll be this color. I'm like, dude, relax.
I never saw any of the theories, but I believe them. I mean, people will look at just about anything to
Yeah. All
add to
statistics
that.
at the end of the day.
All right, what about this? This is a Super Bowl FanDuel boost. Pat Mahomes to
Go
record
for it.
225 plus passing yards and the Chiefs to win. I like that at plus 140.
That's huge. That's
Yeah, I like
huge.
that.
I think that's really free. I mean, because I don't know, you're gonna need that yardage out of him in order to win, in my opinion. Um, I don't know. It's just these are all interesting.
You can
Ready
bet
for this
on
one,
next
Chris?
gen stats. This is crazy. Oh man,
What?
you can bet on the
Oh,
speed
like
the
the
ball
fastest
carrier
player?
has.
The fastest
Yeah,
player. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I've seen that. I mean, dude, it's between Worthy and Barkley, no? I mean,
yeah. I mean,
how
Worthy's
do you pick how do you pick
18 and a
anybody
half
else?
miles an hour. So Barkley's
Yeah.
19 and a half.
You ready for this, Chris?
Hit
Jalen
me.
Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley to combine for 250 rushing yards at plus 1600.
Yeah, that's a little high for me. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I could
That's
see
not
it
bad,
though,
bro.
but I
I
think
mean,
that's high.
if Barkley goes for 175, I can see Hurts running for like 75 or something like that. It's crazy stats. It's got to be like they scramble all the time, but there's some crazy ones here. It's like 2 passing touchdowns in each quarter. Are you kidding me? At plus 15,000. That's absurd. Put $10 down for 1,500. Some of these are just crazy. Each team to score 3 rushing touchdowns at plus 7,000. That's not bad actually.
Yeah, I
That's a
don't.
possibility.
And then, looking at the defensive side, you can bet on sacks and all that. That stuff gets a little more
That's wild.
hard to predict. Team to record the most
Well, the
sacks. Who do you think has more sacks, the Eagles or the Chiefs?
I'm gonna say the Eagles get more sacks.
The Chiefs are actually favored in
I
that
think
department, so
what?
Chiefs are
Like the Kansas City
minus
to sack
160.
Jalen Hurts more.
Yeah, which I actually agree with you. I think that the Eagles will get more sacks.
But like we talked about, Chris, how many times have people won the turnover battle with Mahomes, won whatever with against Mahomes? Doesn't matter. It don't matter. It just doesn't matter. So Eagles get all the sacks they want to still lose, in my opinion, at least. Um, there's like certain quarter props too, which is weird. It's like
Swifty
Jalen Hurts to throw two.
specials.
Oh no,
Bad blood.
no, no,
Travis Kelsey to have more
no.
receiving yards than AJ Brown, plus 124. They're all
How is that only plus
they're
124?
all they're all they're all
That should be
plus
that should be
odds.
plus like 500.
Jalen Hurts or Saquon Barkley to score a touchdown in the fourth quarter, plus 152. I'd probably bet on that.
That's a good. I'd bet on that too.
Travis
I don't know.
Kelsey
It's
under
insane.
50 and a half receiving yards and the Chiefs to lose.
And the Chiefs to lose,
Yeah, I mean, you could bet
wild.
on anything. You could bet on next year's Super Bowl. Those odds are already out on who's favored to go to
You
next
could
year.
you could bet on the triple crown. So who leads passing yards, rushing yards, and receiving yards?
You could bet on the first pick of the draft. Now we're going off a little bit, but
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, we're getting too far into betting.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know
tough.
the concept of betting. You know what this makes me feel like, Chris? I mean, like specifically for Super Bowl, it's like the gladiator fights back in the day, bro. It's crazy. It's what it feels like, bro. It feels like we're just throwing our money in a pot and like praying that this guy wins to represent us or something. I don't know. It's something like that. It's like all about war nowadays, dude. That's what it feels like. That sounds really weird and random, but I don't know. We turn into like animals when we bet. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Like we bet on the stupidest
well, that's
things.
the thing with sports and like why there's so much toxicity towards the athletes, which isn't right, is because people are putting money on them. So
Yep.
it's gotten out of hand, and the NFL has and all the other leagues they've really commercialized it a little too much. But
Yeah.
that's a discussion for another day. We're focusing on the Super Bowl today.
Yeah. Good point. Total players with receptions 13 and a half over under plus 120 for over.
I like the
Interesting.
over.
I would like the over too. I don't know, man. These games are gonna be this. All right. You know what, Chris? Predict the final score right now. Go ahead.
Ugh, final
This could be our
score.
last thing. This could be our last thing. We can wrap it up.
Uh, in
Could you imagine if one of us got this right?
um, Kansas City. I don't know. It's hard to see them going over 30 based off of how these games have been played. Um, but I do think the over under is going to hit. So I'll say Kansas City 28, Philly 24.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Kansas City 31,
I was gonna
Philly
say that. I
27.
was gonna say that, and then in my head, I thought that was
Yep.
too many points. I was literally about to
No,
say
I
that.
think, or if anything, it'd be 31-28.
Yeah, I think we're
And
thinking the same
I'm
way.
scratching that. Yeah. I'll say 28, 31-28, and Kansas City wins on a field goal. I honestly believe that's how it ends. It's going to be 28-28, something crazy like that. I don't know. I just don't see a lot of field goals happening. I don't know why. I don't know if that's weird or not. I don't know.
Well, here's the
This
one
makes me
prop
think
that
about.
everyone wants to see. Will there be a non-quarterback throw a pass today?
I think yes.
Really?
I think yes. I think either Kansas City pulls off one of those random things in the red zone where they just flip it back and forth to each other, or get ready for this, Chris. Barkley tosses to the left, but he throws it to AJ Brown.
I'm going to say
That's
no
a
because
crazy
it just
one.
doesn't seem like it's a part of their offense either
Oh
of
yeah, I
them.
agree. I agree.
Who do you think's gonna
I agree.
last one? Who do you think's making the kick of destiny, Peyton or Eli?
Oh, you shut the. Oh my god, I'm going for my boy Eli. Eli's winning it. Eli's taking the whole thing. Wait, what's the odds on that? There's actual odds on that?
I don't know. I saw it online this morning. You probably can
Like, what
bet
do you
on it.
get? What do you get if you win? Like, I don't get it.
Uh, Hold while I try to look for it. Let me see what I could find.
That's weird, dude. Yeah, but I don't know. Everybody that listens to this, text me or Chris if you have our number, or DM us on TikTok or whatever what you think the score is going to be. See who can get the score right. Because I swear right now, if Chris or I did not bet on our score and we predict it correctly, I'm gonna flip a table and go animalistic. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's a tough score to decide. It's only one game, so we'll see.
yeah. The score is always hard, but regardless, after everything we said, I think it'll be the Chiefs completing the three-peat.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Chris, you got anything else to add before we wrap it up?
That's it for me. I'm excited to have some good food, hopefully watch a good game, and I'm ready to, take this podcast into the off season and see what's in store.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm excited too. Hopefully everybody else enjoys, and Chris said have some good food, spend some time for family. This is basically a national holiday for us at this point. I mean, might as well just give us Monday off.
I know.
Um, but yeah, Kansas City. Chris and I strongly believe Kansas City wins this game. I mean, not strongly believe, but we do believe it, and we expect a great game tonight. Patrick Mahomes is going to have great leadership and experience in Super Bowl, so it will help the Kansas City Chiefs. Hopefully, everybody enjoys and take care.